Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Nachalei Emunah Hasidic Institute program. We're both on the internet and on the television, and we're proud to welcome you. Tonight we're going to talk about something that very few people know about, even in the Orthodox Jewish community. We're right now in the middle of a season of time known as Shovavim. We find this already in some of the earlier Achronim, but the idea of Shovavim really comes out in the works of Rabbi Isaac Luria, the Holy Arizal from Tzfas. Shovavim is a word, it's a Hebrew word that means rebellious ones. We find that the prophet Jeremiah often, over and over again, will say, Shovavim Shovavim, return you rebellious children, or some translators they render it as backsliding children. And we find this, it's referenced elsewhere also often in the words of our sages. But to be a particular season that we find only in later works of the Kabbalists. It's possible it went back earlier, but we find it written down like this. And it's an acronym for the first 6 weeks of the Torah readings of the book of Exodus. The first one is Shmos, and then Va'era. This week's going to be Bo, then Beshalach, Yisro, Mishpatim. So we're right in the middle of the Shovavim season. And these days are known among the Kabbalists. It's brought down to many sources since then. The first place I remember seeing it is in the Mayim Loaz. And since then I found it, of course, in other places and heard more about it as I got more into the Hasidic community and the Sephardic community. These are the two communities that really emphasize this season more, the Hasidic community and the Sephardic community, because of their big influence from the teachings of Rabbi Isaac Luria of the Arizal, the Riyah Kodesh. The main reason for this time is to repent of sins, particularly sins of a sexual nature, like we say, Pagam Habris, Tikkun Habris. And many people have the custom to fast during this time of the year. The simplest reason would seem because these are in the northern hemisphere shorter days, and because there's short days, it's easier to fast because we only the Jewish tradition, except for Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av, but any other fast, you fast from sun up to the end of to nighttime. The different ways, and so these times are now shorter. They're not the shortest time, but they're shorter than much of the rest of the year, so it makes it easier to fast. That would be a simple reason, but really, if that was the reason, we would do it earlier when it's really the shortest days of the year, around the solstice. Instead, we mark these days while we're reading the book of Exodus, because the Hasidic masters and other sages teach that the Kriyas Ma'ora L'Zman, that's a general rule, that whatever we read in the Torah reading awakens the season that we're living in. It's very famous that the Balatanya, whose Yortzeit last week, the first Rebbe of Chabad, someone went up to him and said, you should live with the times, get with the times. He said, I do live with the times. Leben mit der Zeit, he said. What is it? I read the Parsha every week. In the Parsha every week, that's where you get everything for the week. And we find this quite often, that something hinted to in the Parsha will reflect current events. Not only in the Parsha and Rashi, and you could look and keep an eye out on these things, and not only that, but also what the Kabbalists collected in Nachalei Yisrael. Also, Satmar Rebbe would often teach that you can find things for a particular day from that day's Nachalei Yisrael. But also, as the Alter Rebbe from Chabad, the Balatanya taught, is that each day of the week would correspond, and many other tzaddikim taught, each day of the week would correspond to one of the Aliyahs, as there are 7 Aliyahs, and that's where the minhag by Chabad Hasidim is that they will read one Aliyah each day, as they do Shnai Mikra V'Echatargum with Rashi, Other Chassidim mostly follow the Kolakowski Yisrael, which has a few psukim each day, a few verses, and then Thursday night a larger amount, 26 verses, and then finish all the rest on Friday. And each one is right, wherever you come from, both are good and both are holy. But the significance of this time is manifold. I heard once from the Hohensteipler Rebbe, he used to live in Denver, now he lives in Brooklyn, with Mati Tversky. Mottel said that one of the reasons Shovavim is connected to the book of Exodus is that when Adam was separated from his wife for 130 years, between the incident of Cain and Abel and the birth of Seth, in between that time they were separated, that Adam spent that time in Egypt, and that was one of the things that needed to be rectified because he was separated from his wife and was not in a state of purity. So therefore, and he was in this place of Egypt, so therefore there was a rectification that needed to be made with Egypt. Another thing about it is just simple. First of all, the Ramchal and Derech Hashem and many others point out that Mitzrayim, the Tanakh says, is the Kura Barzel, is a crucible, Egypt, and that was the place where we were purified. Actually, says the Ramchal and Derech Hashem, that we were purified from the original sin through the suffering in Egypt, to the point where, as our sages say, that by the time we got to Sinai, Paskas Umasam, that we're cured of the original sin, and we would become immortal and not die until afterwards the sin of the golden calf made us immortal again. So therefore, the concept of the suffering, which is cleansing, and the redemption, which is cleansing, and the path to Sinai, which was cleansing and healing and so forth, and the laws in Parshas Mishpatim, all of these together make it, the days of Shovavim, a time when we can be cleansed. Something particular about the days of Shovavim is that what we can accomplish in the days of Shovavim is in many ways greater than what you can accomplish by Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. I heard this from the Pittsburgh Rabbi, and many other tzaddikim have said the same thing. But I remember hearing in person from the Pittsburgh Rabbi that during the time of Shovavim, so it's a time that we can come close to God in a tremendous way. Very interesting. Rabbi Yosef Karo, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, channeled an angel called the Magid, which is an aspect of the angelic aspect of the higher self, according to most. And the Magid told him many things, and he recorded a journal of it's a channeled literature called Magid Meshorim. And in Magid Meshorim, the angel told Rabbi Yosef Karo that, you did something, most of the time you were going at 99%. Most of us don't even go to 1%. Most of the time you're going in your service of God 99%, so to speak. And today you only did 95%. But because of the Shovavim was accepted in heaven. So the time of Shovavim is a tremendous Eis Ratzon. It's a time of divine mercy. It's when the doors are open. The Heilige Velidniker, the Sheis Yisrael, he says that it says Shovavim Shovavim Chutz Me'acher. It says in the Gemara in Chagigah that the story of one of the rabbis became a heretic, and so he heard a voice from heaven that says Shovavim Shovavim Chutz Me'acher, that anyone can come back to God except for Acher. That was his nickname. And the concept was that, so he figured, all right, he's going to just forget about it and give up, which he shouldn't have done. He should have, still, he's not supposed to listen to such a voice, even as a voice from heaven. But the Heilige V'Lidniker said, Shovavim chutz me'acher, that even if you're chutz, even you're outside, even you're acher, even you're another one, you're not yourself, during Shovavim you can always come back. And so it's a tremendous time to repent and come close to God. Another thing about Shovavim is that since the sins, they hold back the redemption. And then the tzaddikim had the custom during Shovavim, they would say longer Divrei Torah by the Hasidic tzaddikim, particularly. Let's say the Dvar Torah by Shalashudas might say the Satmar Rebbe on regular Shabbos might be an hour, but Shovavim might be 2-3 hours. And the Satmar Rebbe particularly